Hello, friends, and welcome to the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast. My name is Gordon Duncan. I'm the owner of Capitalize Marketing and Consulting, and this show is part of the larger Capitalize Your Best podcast network of shows. On Mondays, we have this show, This Is Gonna Hurt, which is about making a better you. It's a personal growth podcast. On Tuesdays, we have Coach Training Partners, which is a show that helps coaches create programs and increase their revenue. On Wednesday, we have the Capitalize Your Best show, which is our business and marketing podcast. On Thursdays, we don't have a formal podcast, but we do have an 11 a.m. Eastern Capitalize coaching call. That's within the Capitalize Your Best online community. I'll tell you all about that in a few minutes. And then on Fridays, we have a pop culture podcast called You're Entitled to Your Opinion. That show is about reviews and interviews, just that avenue to get that pop culture stuff out of me when I'm thinking through it. So check it out. But guys, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and all those things. I'm very thankful. This show continues on well past 600 episodes. You guys have been here through all of those. Thank you so much. Today, I want to talk about the power of an elevated community. The power of an elevated community. Now, when you hear that, I imagine you might have one of two responses. Like, well, that makes sense. An elevated community would have great power, but you might also ask yourself, well, what in the world is an elevated community? So let me give you a story first. About 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, I was invited to attend a large charity event with my wife for a local nonprofit. Amy had gone to this event before without me, and the next year she said, "You've got to come." And I was sitting around, and the room was full of people that I did not know. I was not yet as much a part of the business community in our local area. My focus really in the area had been church, and I had not been out and joined the Chamber of Commerce yet, and those kind of things. But I immediately met some people there that were really enjoyable to talk to, and they had some interest. And I remember there was an auction. Just they had all these just incredible. They had events and trips, and 10 days in Italy, and they had experiences. And the bids were going well over $10,000, and they were growing. And at that time, I was a full-time pastor, and Capitalized was really more just kind of a 1099 thing, and I hadn't formulated it in town yet. And at first, my first thought was like, wow, I may be in the wrong room, all this money flying around. But then I thought, this is the room I need to be in. I need to be around people who are wiser and smarter and created businesses and nonprofits. And I was sitting next to someone, and he was drinking whiskey. And I was like, "What kind of whiskey you got there? Do you like whiskey?" And we started a conversation, and found out that he was the CEO of a local business and incredibly successful. And then I said, "Hey, next week, would you mind grabbing a cup of coffee with me?" He said, "No, of course, I'd love to have a cup of coffee." And I can tell you that from that moment, my life has never been the same. Both the exposure to that community, which was in many ways smarter than me, healthier than me, wealthier than me, the opportunity I had to sit down with that CEO. That's an example of what being a part of an elevated community can do for you. Because since then, I formalized Capitalized Marketing here in town, and I've since retired from ministry, and I've gone full time into marketing, and now into personal performance and executive coaching, and all of those things really had their genesis there. So let me encourage you, if you know of an elevated community, or if you'd like to find an elevated community, look for one or reach out to me. I hope you find one, but it makes such a difference. But here's the question: what is an elevated community? What is an elevated community? Well, I'll give you this simple definition. An elevated community is a group of people who have achieved something you haven't achieved. It's that simple. A group of people who have achieved something you haven't achieved. It's elevated in that they're ahead of you in some way. And exposure and involvement in that group is going to make you better. I mean, for example, that would be like when you go to a really expensive conference where the speakers are different and the interaction with them is different. It would be like being invited to run with an elite running group. I've got a buddy right now who's running with a collegiate track team. He's 15 years older than all of them, and it's absolutely kicking his butt. That group is an elevated community because they've got skills and training and input and coaching that he doesn't normally have a part of. And I know of groups of CEOs in the area that get together, and it's not on social media, and it's not advertised, it's not marketed. They just get together. That's an elevated community because they've achieved a certain thing. I know of online communities where the qualification of it is $3 million revenue a year, and you can't be a part of that group unless you have that. And when you get an opportunity to be a part of those groups, you're around people who are thinking thinking and doing differently than you because they have thought and done differently, and they're sharing wisdom and sharing best practices. That's what an elevated community is. It's a group of people who have achieved something you haven't. Another distinct element, another distinction of an elevated community is there you don't have immediate access to them. Here's what I mean. These events are usually paid events or they're private invites. You can't just typically find them somewhere and show up and be a part of it. It's not because anyone's trying to be elitist or exclusive. It's just that folks who've achieved a lot often desire privacy or desire to be around opportunities and conversations that are just different. And so you're normally going to have to pay to be a part of an event like that, or you're going to normally have to be invited to be a part of it. I've done a million conferences in my day, but I remember when I paid to go to 10X GrowthCon in Vegas. And I had to fly to Vegas. And I remember that being a very different group of people. And then out of that, there was a separate group that paid even more expensive for the day after. And I just remember thinking to myself, I'm around people who have achieved something different than I have. They're ahead of me in the game. I'm learning by being in this group. I'd love to be in that next group, the more intimate group, but I don't have either the money or the invite to that. I was invited to a casual get together recently with a couple of people in business in the community. There was absolutely nothing formal about it. And the conversations we had were just drastically different. They were thinking through national scope issues. They were applying AI more than just creating graphics. It was conversations of a depth and scale that I loved. I was so thankful I was invited to it. To me, that was an elevated community. I got a personal invite to be a part of it. There's nothing elitist about it. It's just that I didn't know it existed, and I didn't find out about it until someone invited me to it. And so the nature of an elevated community is they've done and achieved things you haven't done. And typically, you're going to have to pay to be a part of one or to be invited to be a part of one. But here's the real power of an elevated community. There's real power of being a part of an elevated community. One, being around people who have achieved more than you or have learned more than you or have better practices than you have. What's going to happen is if you stay in that community, you're going to be better. One, by osmosis, just being around them are like best practices. But two, you're going to be part of the conversations. You're going to find yourself wanting to grow because you're part of daily learners, growth-minded people, folks who don't accept excuses, people who are doing their best. And you'll also find that you'll want to serve. You're like, hey, tell me about this nonprofit that you're a part of. Could I help and serve? Like, of course. And then all of a sudden you're around people and they're helping you be better every single day. And then you're wanting to serve because there's a million opportunities to serve when you're around an elevated community like that. And here's the thing, guys, none of these communities are outside any of our grasps. I mean, if I want to be a part of that CEO community of $3 million revenue a year, then I've got to earn $3 million of revenue a year. And the reason there's a qualifier for that group is because they're having conversations that are different than a startup has. It's wonderful to be around folks who help startups. Wonderful. So another thing to be a part of a group that says we're going to help you scale. It's just two different communities and they have two different things. It's like when you're going to work out, you need to have beginner classes. You got to have advanced classes because they're doing two different things. Now, if your goal to be a part of an elevated community is arrogance, I don't want to be with those people, or I want to show those people, it's the wrong motive. That kind of vitriol will get you some progress, but it won't endure. But if your goal is, I want to be around people who are growth minded. I want people who've learned lessons that I need to learn. I want to learn best practices. I'm tired of some of the same old, boring, stupid conversations about the same things over and over. Then you're like, I want to be around some people who are talking about different things that are at scale higher than mine. I want to be in a community where people can teach me and I can serve in giving back. When we do that, we find ourselves gradually maturing and growing. And so again, guys, an elevated community is not a thing of arrogance or it's not denying people. It's the difference between a beginner aerobics class and an advanced aerobics class. Like we can't do the stuff in the advanced aerobics class unless we've done the stuff in the beginner's class. So we earn our way into the advancement level. It's when I'm running a race, you start in waves, and the first wave of people are the fastest people, and the slowest people are in the back. It doesn't mean anything bad. It's just that the people up front are running at a different pace than the people in the back. So we earn our way up into the front. And so seeking to be a part of elevated community means I want to get better, I want to learn, and I want to serve. And when we do that, we become better in the areas of which we're seeking to grow. Friends, I have two opportunities for you to be a part of an elevated community. One, I haven't mentioned here yet, but on April 30th, I'm having a private dinner mastermind. This is for 12 people here in the Fredericksburg area. It's going to be a wonderful dinner. It's going to be at a local Italian restaurant. I haven't announced the complete details yet. I want you to reach out to me. It's $97 from 6 to 8. It's going to be a private networking workshop. You'll receive a wonderful dinner and some wine, but this event is $97. It's different. We're going to have conversations of scale that we just don't normally have. I love the seminars I have, the free ones, the paid ones, and everything else. This one's going to be a little different. And so I look forward, if you are interested, I have either 2 or 3 seats left. It's on April 30th from 6 to 8. Reach out to me directly, and I'll make sure you get those seats. And as also, if you'd like to be a part of a community of growth-minded individuals and learners, then reach out to me about the Capitalize Your Best online community. We have daily coaching in there. Right now, I'm doing the Capitalize Your Best Life course absolutely free. You get that there. We also have a Wednesday night book club for the Capitalize Your Best Daily Reader, and we have a Thursday Capitalize coaching call and the end of the month seminar. So many things, and all of that is for a paid community. Reach out to me. I'll tell you all about it. I'll give you a 7-day free pass. But friends, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being here. Reach out to me if you have questions about any of these events or anything I've said. And I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow at the Coach Training Partners podcast. Thanks, friends. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.